What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Just Saying. As you can tell, I brought back a very familiar face with me, and we also have two new faces on board because for this episode and the next 3 episodes, we're going to do a commentary on the general elections in Singapore. Denise, who you guys are familiar with, she used to be from the Daily Catch-Up, and Joel from the
Political Proof.
Welcome. We needed more brain power on this app. Me and you can't. You can't do this
Really
alone.
So today, we're going to be looking at as many political parties as we can. Their name, logo, their uniform. We'll look at, their social media game, who's failing at it and who's doing well.
Okay.
And then we'll look at, their more serious stuff, which is track record, some of their past policies or policies that they are trying to implement or they're saying they will.
First, the manifestos aren't out yet. So we're going to be fair. Maybe we'll do that another time, right?
Yeah. So we'll also look at their ground engagement. So in between GEs, where are they?
And vibes. And
Vibes.
Yeah.
That's the most important.
Very important.
Yeah, that's the most important.
Actually, you know what? Vibes is most important because honestly, right? Like,
Say.
okay, like I'm 33 years old, but the younger people, when they look at policies, they'll be like, what is this? I'm just going to vote for the vibes.
That's why social media is such a big thing, because most of the younger people are basing off of social media vibes.
Yeah, exactly. So as I say, vibes is very important.
Yeah.
It's the most important.
Okay.
Okay, so
to you.
we've also come up with our own tiers.
Yes,
So
very fun.
the worst tier you can be rated is Skibidi Toilet.
Skibidi toilet.
Can you tell we're trying to appeal to the young?
Yes. Skibidi toilet, yes.
And then it will be mid.
Yes,
Although
mid.
this is not the mid, this is the 4th rank actually, but
Yeah.
it's called mid.
Yeah.
And then we will do I See the Vision, so we get
See
it.
the Vision.
We get it, but maybe it's a bit blur.
Yes.
We get it. And then there's Aura Maxing.
They're trying.
They are doing this
Okay.
as they chat.
So that's almost the best.
Yes.
And what is the
What is
best?
the best will be goated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, Gota is more millennial than anything.
We are trying to be inclusive.
Yeah,
So we
Oh,
cannot
yes,
just use
yes.
all Gen Z terms.
Yeah. Wait, is it wrong to say who we support or whatever? Like, what's the rule here? We
There's
cannot-
no rules. I feel like we should just be open
No
and
rules.
honest.
okay.
I'm
Yeah.
voting for PAP at my Jalan Kayu SMC.
Okay, yeah, I'm always PAP also.
Really?
Because I mean, based on,
Undecided.
you're undecided?
Undecided.
I voted for both before.
Your first GE, did you vote for PAP?
Yes.
This is my second GE only.
This is my
Whoa.
second GE, yeah.
Because my mother say my first one have to vote for PAP.
Right.
If not, I cannot find job.
What?
So I don't know if
So
this
you are the case study that I always quote.
Okay, so why don't we kick off with our most popular party by the previous election votes, which is PAP, People's Action Party, if you don't know their full name. So Dew will go first. Your ranking of this, the 5 that we've listed and why.
Go third lah, come on.
Why?
Okay, let's see who is the second most voted party in Singapore. I feel it's Workers' Party. If you put the both of them beside each other, who you actually vote for?
I feel like that they win in certain things and then other people win in other things.
As in, like, I'm very happy to be Singaporean. I'm very proud to be Singaporean, even in Singapore. You know how some people are just very proud to be Singaporean overseas? when overseas, they're like,
Yeah.
no, I'm Singaporean. But then in Singapore, they're like, fuck Singapore, this and that. I am both.
Okay,
Like,
so
I
your
am very
Oh
happy.
my god, that's so true. Yeah, when we travel, he'll be like, do you know I'm from Singapore? And I kid you not, there's a bunch of people who don't care from around the world. He's like, in Singapore, we have this thing called CPF.
wow.
I'm not joking.
Yeah.
CPF, and they make you save. And they're like, okay.
Yeah,
wow.
isn't CPF the only reason why the younger generation can buy a house?
No.
No.
I feel so.
Yeah.
Crypto.
Okay, no, actually that's a good comeback. That one I
Maybe.
agree. But I'm saying, right, saving money and everything, right, when you're younger, you don't have a concept of it. But when you're 18,
No, who has CPF at 18?
Okay, well, we had this discussion with a whole bunch of people who couldn't argue back. And I was sitting there, I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my god.
Okay, so
let's-
your
okay, basically what I'm trying to say is there homeless people in Singapore?
Yes.
Yes.
Not many. Out of 6 million.
Do you all think how good a government is doing should be ranked by the average or the lower, like the bottom?
Oh, that's such an interesting question. Yeah.
Because if we rank by average, then definitely I think whatever you're saying is correct lah. But
Yeah.
there's a huge portion of people, that fall below that. And then this comes off very privileged ma.
I'm saying like you can live very comfortably in Singapore, not worry about water, not worry about transport, basically not worrying about basic necessities. The one below that, they also can live in L-shaped houses. That's what I'm
What
trying
is
to
an
say.
L-shaped house?
Yeah, explain.
No, nobody knows what an
You
L-shaped.
see now, this is Chinese privilege, guys. I am sure all the Malay people know what the fuck is an L-shaped house.
What's the L-shaped house? I'm Malay. What's the L-shaped
Okay,
house?
L-shaped house is now basically one bedroom, one kitchen, one living room.
But it's a square.
Yeah.
Denise Googling.
But an L-shaped house is literally everything is open concept, and your bedroom, your kitchen, everything is all connected. If I'm not wrong, you can rent it for like
Interesting.
$100 a month. It is ridiculously
But
cheap.
it's a rental.
It's a rental. It is basically for the underprivileged and also
Yeah.
single moms, single dads
Yeah.
who lost their house and everything. Yeah, that's one.
It's good that there's
Singapore
options.
is great. That's why I say PAP go third.
Okay, so let's round off your point by saying your favorite thing about PAP.
My favorite thing about PAP is they tried doing parkour.
Based on that, they can't be a goated tier.
Look, here when I saw it, this is what I see. I'm like, okay, you open up a spot for elderly citizens to try parkour. Then I think of my grandmother, I think of my grandfather, whose knees are not like barely there already. And then you want them to jump over a chair. So to me, when I watch, I'm like, no, you stay at home. Like you go and walk on the pebbles that they built under the block. You know what I mean? Just don't jump over the goddamn chair.
Okay, fair
No,
enough.
but in all seriousness, no, like I said, I'm very proud to be a Singaporean. I feel like I've lived, even though I am a school dropout, I don't have papers, my highest education is N-levels, I can still live in Singapore.
But there's a lot of places you can do that. That's not PAP's magic.
Let's move on. So based on the awkward silence after you said that PAP was goated, I'll presume that three of us didn't rank them as goated.
I didn't rank them. I ranked them like in the middle of mid and aura maxing.
Wait,
So
That's
I
I see the vision.
I see the vision.
Yeah.
Sorry, then I see the vision. Because
Then I want to know who's goated in your list, yeah?
I like their policies a lot. However, there's so much lack of transparency and there's so much red tape. Whenever we want to like ask for information, when the opposition comes and they ask for figures, they ask for information, it's not given to us. So I don't even know what I don't know.
Such as land prices, which a lot of Grab drivers tell me about.
Exactly. So if you don't give me full information, I can't give you a grade. It's like not answering a question.
But how hard is it to get the information?
They were asking, well, where the hell am I supposed to ask? So for example, you had those, the people who wanted to question like Shanmugam, who I do like him, Ming Shan. They were saying that they literally had no more outlet to question him on POFMA. So how do we raise concerns? How do we raise questions? How do we question the policies? However, on the things that they do tell me they do, I like what they have done.
What's something that you don't like that they do then?
I'm gonna sound xenophobic, but you guys can guess. I really feel that like some of our immigration policies need to be reviewed. There shouldn't be a case where I'm walking to the heartlands, housing that is meant for Singaporeans, for Singaporean families to live in, and then I see people who have just moved into Singapore don't really seem to grasp the concept of what it is to be Singaporean, and they let their kids shit on the ground. I've seen it twice. That is my pet peeve amongst other incidences.
No, it just shouldn't happen lah.
Yeah, so
Pet peeves, yeah.
No, but then I questioned them. I was like, why did you let him shit on the ground? And they're like,
Don't do
in
the
their own
accent.
language.
Don't do the accent.
I
Everybody
wasn't going to. But basically they said like, but what's wrong? He's just a child. We'll pick it up. So then they pull out like a receipt from the father pulls out a receipt and he just like picks up the child's shit as if it's a dog.
Actually, now technically, if you think about it,
But he wasn't going to. It's just because I scolded him.
Oh, okay.
The second time was at a food court, like a food center. The child went off to the side and shit. Okay, why has nobody else seen this?
Oh no.
Okay, I need to say where I used to live, okay?
Yishun. Really?
Yes.
Then your thoughts don't count lah, really. There is another dimension.
No, but I used to live in Yishun.
Okay.
So I've seen it all.
Okay, so to summarize, am I right to say that you feel that some of our immigration policies make it feel like we are not putting Singaporeans first?
Yes.
Because they shit on the floor. That's what they're trying to say.
And she's also saying that it's okay to shit on the floor as long as you pick it up.
No, I have nothing to do with shitting on the floor. My objection is to be giving the amount of subsidies and they are spending the amount of money to sustain the current rate of immigration when our country is becoming so overcrowded. Can we like think about expanding the infrastructure to be accommodating all these people before we think about bringing in new people?
Okay.
Can we wait until no Singaporean new family will have to ballot 6 times before getting a HDB? Then we can bring in whoever we want to bring in.
But I think the biggest argument made is that we need these like expats, we need even blue collar workers, and we need the foreign investments to be in Singapore, and that's why they have to give these subsidies and these allowances,
And
right?
we have to give them like HDB housing. That doesn't click with me. It doesn't sound kind. It doesn't sound like nice. Ideally, in a perfect world, everybody should be able to come. And I hate the fact that like where, I feel like we want to gatekeep Singapore because ideally anyone should be able to come, right? But then again, I don't think it's fair for the people who actually are balloting and are trying and can't get the house.
Yeah.
When they see like new citizens who didn't grow up here, some men who didn't serve NS having their families, and then they get to buy the HDBs and take your slot. That's not right.
No, but it's especially like a bigger issue here because we have so limited like resources, space, everything, right? When, like, I guess among our own Singaporeans, we're also trying to figure it out with our own, So when we have other people coming in, I guess we're also a bit like, how do we prioritize who gets to, be at the front of the queue? I think it's valid. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Joel, you've been very quiet. Now it's your time.
Well, I would say overall, I would say it's all on that thing.
Okay.
It's
Second.
second tier.
Now I look like I'm sucking PAP's dick.
You are.
I am
though.
not. I'm like, that's my honest opinion, but sorry.
No. I mean, when we look at things like crisis management, we look at, governance, I think overall, I think we're doing okay.
Yes,
I think
100%.
Yeah, like the fact that most of us are comfortable and whatnot. I feel like actually, it's not. First of all, it's not easy to govern, right? For a party to have done it for so long, and to have the country thrive under them for that period of time, I think is commendable, lah. And that's why it's definitely on the higher parts of the tier system. But at the same time, I think we see a lot of the public pushback comes from the lack of communication or the inability to communicate like effectively. We see it through like the EZ-Link, like the
Yes.
the Simply Go.
But that was lack of thinking, not just lack of communication.
Yes.
but I
What
said-
about the new ERP?
It's for the distance-based charging, ma.
But I
It's
think
true.
but for me, it boils down to communication also. I've worked with some of them in their capacity of, like, for example, like political office holders. Even when we have criticisms or when we have like feedback, for example, sentencing framework against sexual violence. Like, I think I was talking very, very much about it online, and like the PAP ministers actually reached out to say, hey, since you were talking so much and you got so many people to talk about it, why don't we talk about it? And then it led to like one thing to another, and then it eventually led to the law being updated. So obviously, I don't think it's just me, lah. I think it's like many people giving their opinions and whatnot. So to me, there is a level of like listening to the people and listening on the ground.
But do you think that the difference was made because you had a platform?
For sure, which is going to lead to my next point, because we talked about like the girls saying that like they don't understand what platforms they can express their views and opinions, and I think that's ultimately like the key thing here, right? Like, yes, we know that there are platforms like reach official platforms, but it's like how many people really use them to communicate their thoughts. I did an interview with Minister Shan, and I told him, it's very weird for me to observe the internet space because like everyone around me is expressing our opinions online, but then so many people are also saying, I don't feel like I'm being heard. So I feel like there's a gap there, and that's something that I feel like is preventing them from going into goated for now. I feel like they need to communicate that they are listening. For example, there was this massive exercise on like Forward SG, but like how come we don't see what's being done, and we don't hear what's being done, and then that ultimately leads to this whole like where do I go to? There are so many different like sectors to society that have different opinions on one particular issue, right? As a government, you have to choose, okay, how do I prioritize? But then just because you prioritize one and one group gets to benefit, like you can't ignore that the other groups will feel like, hey, I'm not being heard. So you need to then address these people as well. And I guess now with social media, like these voices are now getting the platforms to be amplified and to be heard as well. Therefore, you can kind of see like that pushback also. So it's something for them to figure out.
I would argue that it's not that they're not communicating it because I don't think it's a popular policy in the first place. There's no getting around that those girls didn't like POFMA. And there is no amount of PR, HR, putting it in the right way, putting it in the wrong way that was going to make them like POFMA. They wanted to ask him about POFMA, something that they did not like.
That's why I feel like if they open an avenue straight to, let's say if you want to tell something to Min Sham, right? And if they open up an avenue, maybe the second to Min Sham,
Do you know something? You can actually just email them and they'll reply. Like I email and I'll complain. I'll be like, the sign has fallen. I pay a lot of tax. Please fix it. And then it'll get fixed. They'll send me like, LTA will follow up.
Goated.
Literally, yeah.
Goated.
No, but as I said, I like all these things. I like their crisis management. I so agree with you. It's just there are a few things that make me knock you down. And because you are solely responsible for the entire governance of Singapore, everything good is attributed to you, but everything bad is also your fault.
Yeah.
My rank was actually also I see the vision. I feel like they have been just operating off like a baseline that was set by Mr. Lee Kuan Yew. Then on social media, they feel like a Hillary Clinton to me, like try very hard to relate to the young kids. Not working out.
Got that vibe, I really got it.
Yes.
Yeah, so but definitely, I mean, I'm happy living here. I'm safe here.
But I guess I can compare, we can compare that baseline to global also, you know what I mean? And it's like that baseline is so much higher than other countries also.
It's true.
Like when I look at how like COVID, obviously ours is not perfect. There were so many like issues that came up right during that period. But at the same time, it's like when you look at how like other countries manage COVID also, it's like I think we did decent.
But it's so hard to compare because of size.
Goated. Okay, not for you. I know COVID, like you fought with them big time. But we were one of the first countries that actually like got out of it. Or rather had it under control.
There were a lot of places that had it pretty under control.
I think we did very well. Compared to Italy, people are dying in the flats and they didn't have enough ambulance to take them.
Yeah, for like a week.
Yeah.
But it's a global pandemic.
Okay, but it's definitely true that I think a lot of countries overseas, like if you needed healthcare, there was a question on whether or not you could get it. But I think in Singapore, like if you really did get sick and very sick, I think you'll be quite confident that you have treatment and all that.
Yeah, positives and negatives.
Sorry,
No, go ahead.
Yeah, what I was gonna say was, like things like, for example, the vaccine strategy.
Yeah.
I think that's quite impressive that we were among the first to get it,
Yeah, but was it good that we everybody to get vaccines? Because I was actually like very pro-vaccine. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go get vaccine.
Yeah.
Get vaccinated, everyone. That's what I was saying. Go get vaccinated, everyone. Like I trusted them. And then someone I love got vaccinated and then had complications from the vaccine. It's causing him to bald,
I got post-COVID hair loss. And if you realize, when you go to like normal skincare clinics, they're all pushing hair treatments.
Wow.
Because a lot of people are losing hair from COVID.
We have a hair supplement also.
Go ahead, please.
But I also do want to say that I feel like, like PAP has been set up to succeed. Like with the gerrymandering allegedly. And then even if like, say for example, you are not elected as an MP, right, they can still work in like PA or like the grassroots stuff, and then you're still very involved in the community. So like, people still see you, then next election you have a higher chance to get in again. So
I think it's a bit unfair because PAP is the first ruling party. So
But could anyone else have done it that was not Lee Kuan Yew and the PAP with that kind of drive and that kind of vision and
I don't
that
think
kind
so.
of like ability to stand up against corruption? And I don't know.
Okay, yeah,
but maybe
that's fair.
an interesting question would Lee Kuan Yew be who he is if he didn't go and study overseas? Because I think that's where he got a lot of his ideas and like his understanding of the world. I think he has said in interviews before, that he has a mentor that taught him a lot about the way he thinks. And then, so when he brought that ideologies back to Singapore, it was fresh. To conclude, PAP, everybody is happy with giving them the aura maxing tier.
Yeah.
That's the average.
I still think it's goated.
But you see, this like attitude is why I gave it mid. Because I feel like it gives this false sense of like, we are so good, we are so much better than everyone. One thing I cannot stand in Singapore is like the elitism.
Yeah.
So that's why
Wait, why?
I got knocked you down from
Okay,
aura maxing to mid. So, but fine, I will settle for aura maxing.
Okay.
Okay, so the next one we are going to rank is actually not just one party. It's the Singapore Democratic Alliance, SDA, but most known for their recent green uniform.
Iconic.
I say skibidi toilet. Okay, now
Every time after you shout out your ranking, it's just awkward silence.
So what? So now you all think they are goated?
No?
I didn't say anything.
It's not our turn yet.
It's not my turn.
Okay,
Go for it.
I don't understand the logo. Firstly, it's a star on wheels. Right? It's basically an Audi logo plus a Heineken logo.
No, maybe it's like the four circles is like the four parties.
Yes, correct. So they are to symbolize unity amongst the member parties.
And who's
And the star represents their guiding principles.
Now is it nice?
Get out! What the fuck?
Give it a chance. Give it a chance.
Oh my god, Google it lah. Then you look at it lah. Then you go like,
Give it a chance, dude.
no chance lah.
What do I need to Google?
Skibidi toilet. And also, guys, you go on TikTok and then you search SDA. You will see a video.
Many have asked them, why not bounce out? Let the major players battle it out. Let me pose you this question. Life is about choices. In Singapore, we are blessed with choices in many aspects of life. Imagine a situation where the choice is made for you.
Life is all about choices.
It is all about choices.
Yeah. And
Choices.
you need to make the best choices. Let's say in a situation, how you
Don't
want
be
to run the
rude.
country, my brother?
Listen,
Ah.
I think we need to stop. Okay, so I actually went to speak to someone who ran an opposition party, and when I talked to them, what they said was that, we realistically don't really think that we will have any role in the government, but this is the one time that I get my voice heard. So any issues that I have with the government, now is the time for me to bring it up.
In bad English.
Whatever gets you the views lah.
So one example would be that I remember like Kervin ran for NSP and she was a single mom. So NSP really brought a lot of attention to like single mother issues, and she would keep bringing it up. And a lot of people said, we don't care. Why should anyone care? You're not going to win any votes. But shortly after that, the 2015 to 2019 election, they did make a lot of very good changes to improve the lives of single moms. So she was saying, maybe if, because I had this microphone, because I ran, I was able to bring these issues up. And because we managed to capture some percentage of the votes, then they took it seriously. So maybe instead of me thinking about how Mr. Desmond would be as our foreign minister, maybe I'll think about what he has to say that is of substance and grade him on that.
Wait, why you laugh?
Why are you laughing?
Wait,
I'm so sorry. Hey, I am not a very smart person. But I feel like everybody who wants to start a party, you need to be self-aware. Anybody can have good intention. If you want to help, you can help. Anybody will help. But you can't even speak proper English. Like, how do I vote for you?
But what if they can speak really good Chinese? Then they are connecting to a totally different demographic, ma.
Okay, that's a good point.
Can I offer an alternative
Let's
perspective
go.
on this? So when we look at the different parties that join the elections, we also have to understand that they have very different intentions in mind, like what Jade said, right? So for the PAP, they are coming in to run to be the governing party. For a smaller party, it's very clear that they don't have enough people or candidates in order to form the ruling party of the day. So a lot of them are just running, one, to raise issues, two, to just be another alternative voice in parliament. So if let's say you feel like it's important for my MP to be able to speak well, that can be a judgment. There's no right or wrong. But the other thing is also, what actually are they saying? Like, are they saying something with substance and whatnot?
No.
No, you don't be distracted.
No, I get where you're coming from, but okay.
Yeah.
If
After
this-
he said choices,
if-
everything went out right.
No, if Desmond is supposed to behave like a mouthpiece for issues, let's say, I go to Desmond, I'm like, sir, this is my problem. He brings it up in super bad English. How can I trust you to be my mouthpiece when you can't even speak proper English? It's broken telephone immediately.
Some of the very beloved PAP candidates are not like that good speakers, and they're constantly laughed at. Like, for example, like Lee Biwa, who I actually love. Her speech about DNA testing period pads still goes around.
Yeah.
And maybe she's not like the most eloquent. Maybe it didn't sound very intelligent to say like, we are going to test the blood on period pads. But these are like bread and butter issues that she was bringing up. But I don't
Yeah, I
hear
mean, I
her
guess-
get it. We don't laugh at her. So
Okay.
maybe you're slightly biased.
Maybe. Or maybe because I use TikTok for my research platform.
Really? A lot of people do that.
But to be fair, I do think that like first impressions count also. And when that's your first impression, it's very hard for your message to get across if you can't like communicate it clearly. So
Yeah.
I get what you mean also.
Yeah, I mean, like, look at Jamus. So eloquent. It's like it's immediate trust one.
Okay, so your ranking is Skibidi
Skibidi
toilet,
toilet.
based on
Skibidi
his
toilet.
English.
Based on his English and the colour of the uniform, what is this? You look
What's
like
wrong with
Where
your
is
green?
Brett?
It's
It's Brett.
I don't know, it gives like lion dance.
So you think all white is better?
I actually, you know what? Okay, the PAP uniform, right, is I'm on the fence with that. That's why I see the vision. Because I feel like it just looks like a bunch of
Alright, boys.
old men that never graduated. You get what I mean? It's like all white uniform. And I like all white stuff. I like all white uniform. But then
Yeah, you do.
Wait, excuse me?
okay, but I don't like the shade of white.
I love it.
That shade of white.
It's iconic. I think on optics, you can't really beat the PAP's optics.
Okay, but what's your ranking.
I hate
Skibidi
to
toilet,
do. Okay,
right?
no. See, I'm not gonna give them skibidi toilet, and the reason why I'm not giving them skibidi toilet is for the reasons I told you. I'm not gonna grade them according to how good I think Desmond is going to be as the Prime Minister of Singapore, because obviously, no, I don't want him to be the Prime Minister. But just based on the fact that they are trying,
Yeah.
they can,
This is not PT tier list.
I will
is-
support Jade on this.
no, this is my take. I have a different scale from them as to the PAP
Yeah.
because they are not in parliament. If he were to actually be in parliament, that's when I will barrage him with a bunch of criticism, because now, just like how I will hold PAP and WP to the same standard, and all these parties who have not won seats, they are.
Jade, stop trying to be nice.
Meat, that's meat. That's
It's
meat.
obvious things, yeah.
Skibidi
Skibidi
toilet.
toilet lah. Guys, social media game is
I
the
want-
top of the top.
I want to say mid so bad, but it just.
Skibidi
couldn't come out.
Listen.
Yeah.
When I read their manifesto, maybe they can be mid, maybe they can be aura maxing. Not right now.
Oh
Imagine
my
they
God,
come out.
actually, you resonate with them. They call for lower GST, stricter hiring of foreigners.
Aura maxing.
Are you sure that's them? That's the guy with the very little
Wait, is it
hair,
out?
right?
Is it out
This was in
now?
2020.
Wait, stop it. I get it. No, aura maxing. Final one.
Aura maxing, but because they want to lower GST. Do you know that rent shot up 40% in 1 year?
Yeah.
And then they were like, you're gonna raise GST.
But don't you think this is a very easy brownie points thing? Because every opposition party is saying lower GST.
Good,
PSP
then they
is
should
also
lower
saying.
Yeah.
GST.
I mean, I have no problems with it. It's just
GST.
I feel like we
Because
are
you
no.
don't have kids.
No, I feel like if
You
we are
rent.
as our GST is very low already compared to other countries.
Okay, Joel.
Wait, so yours is what? Aura maxing? We cannot
Based
be
on
friends.
policies.
We really cannot be friends.
Based on policies.
Mine's very simple. Between meat and skibidi. Yeah. But I give them brownie, don't laugh. I give them brownie points because the bright green is, first of all, memorable. I think everybody remembers that. Visibility wise,
Can see Wait, what do you mean? So you can see the CWO workers also. It's the same fucking color.
okay, anyone that dares to step up to come forward as an opposition candidate in Singapore is brave to do so. And I think that should get a bit of brownie points for that.
Okay. You? What are you going for?
I am going for mid.
Okay.
I vote mid.
Denise.
Ah.
Okay.
Because I agree with everything everybody said so far, so I'll just gloss over that. So based on all of that, skibidi toilet. And then, but I think it's interesting that the last time that party that was outside of PAP and WP that won a seat as an MP, it was actually SDA. So this was back in 2006. Mr. Cham Si Tong,
Oh, Chan Si Tong.
as part of the SDA, he won a seat. So honestly, nobody else can say this, ma. None of the other opposition parties outside of PAP and WP can say this, right? So based on
SDP.
that, I promoted them.
But
He was wonderful. I
that
saw him
cannot
before
be
he
his
died.
successor.
Okay, so the official rating for SDA is they are mid party.
Yeah,
Mid.
who is going to lower my GST? You know, I got lip fillers 2 days ago, and the GST on that was $90.
I don't even think he can pronounce lip fillers.
Why not?
It's going to be hard.
Lip filler.
Okay, so I mean, we of course have to talk about Workers' Party.
I say aura mixing, Workers' Party. They are
Okay.
really the second best already. What I don't like about them is that they are liars.
You
Forget
think
about
PAP don't have liars?
Have, but they never got caught. You
They
see,
Yes, they
did.
got.
They did.
okay,
Lying
one
about
lah.
Trace Together.
He's in jail.
What about Trace Together when they said they wouldn't collect?
No, but they got say if you don't turn on your Bluetooth, they will not track. But wait. I am actually talking about the Pritam and what's her name?
Sylvia.
Raisa.
Raisa fight, but I'll still give them aura mixing.
To be honest, I don't know if they lied. It appeared to me that he was just telling her to make her own choice and giving her the space to do so. Now, why didn't Lee Hsien Loong come clean about the affair between two members who were sitting at parliament with him for years? So two of his party members are like fucking, literally fucking, and he knows it.
Yeah.
And he knows that people are not okay with it because
That's a good boss.
other people have had to step down, and he says nothing. Isn't that the same as Pritam saying nothing?
Yeah, so he voted for like keeping it in the family. Goated
I think you'll make a good Trump supporter.
No.
Oh my God.
Hey, listen.
It's just based on
The
whatever
panic.
he wants.
Listen, that's him being a good boss. This Raisa and Pritam, they actually, I think, for a moment, they actually really hated each other, you know. You're fighting in your own family. So is Lee Hsien Loong wrong for protecting his
Do you
family?
think that there's no internal fights or like power struggles
that
within?
we don't see lah.
Okay, anyway,
Yeah.
I kind of agree. They're just like Aura Maxim, not my favorite. As in, not my favorite of the parties because I feel like they're just, exactly that, the one step away from PAP. However, I do put them quite high up because they do offer just having an opposition in parliament who is competent, who can run Sengkang well. By all accounts, Sengkang is run well. It shows that there's a viable opposition, and this allows us to get more opposition in so that we can call for more accountability and transparency from within the PAP.
Yeah, Aura Maxim, I think it's pretty straightforward. I think GE 2020 was when a lot of first-time voters sat down and looked at the WP and said, oh, this is probably the first time I'm going to consider an opposition party, which obviously doesn't say much about our democracy, but a lot of the times the choices that we have are not great. And a lot of people just say, I'm just going to do whatever. So I think it's in our benefit that we have good choices to choose from. So WP has, been that for the last 5 years. So yeah.
I vote WP as a golden party.
What the fuck?
Why? I think they are doing everything that they need to do. And no other opposition party can say that. I think their logo is quite cool. And then I think that their uniform matches because, they're fighting for the workers, the blue collar, so they wear blue shirts. So makes sense. And then I think I made it up in my head, the link, but I think that's the link. So like Joel said, they're actual contenders, like when they are whichever SMC or GRC they are in. And yeah, so I think, what more can you ask from Workers' Party?
But for me, the reason why I knocked them down was because I don't like the way that they are just one step to the left, but they still don't. So for example, the last election, Raisa and I think Jamus, they put their pronouns in their bio, which shows a clear support for the LGBTQ community. But then when they were prodded on 377A, they were still no, we are not in favor of repeal. I don't know if they have changed their stance since then, but I was like, okay, well, that was disappointing. So on one side of your mouth, you're like, yeah, well, some of us support. And then on the other side, oh, but no repeal.
But we get the Ariana Grande, right? She...
Okay, I like this
so
reference.
That's where I was like, okay.
Like Glenda the Good, based on the law, she stay behind. Spoiler. If people haven't seen, as in she stay behind because that's the way that she knows how to fight. Even though she has certain beliefs that might not be what the ruling party or the government is thinking, but that is her way of fighting. Also, I think in the same way, they can believe what they personally believe and they display that for the public to see. But in order to get policies to shift, maybe they need to be voted in. They cannot outwardly. They have to play the game, no choice.
Fair. Fair. Very fair. I agree.
Thank you.
Changed my mind. I also like the way that they are very involved in the Sengkang community. Apparently, he does. So, I mean, I don't want to say anything bad about my party because they are responsive, but I only see her one time every 4 years. So I saw her 4 years ago. And I have a photo to prove it, timestamped. Since then, haven't seen her at all. But my friend who was saying she lives in Sengkang, she sees Jamus doing his walkarounds frequently, where he will actually be looking for little things around the community that he can improve on.
I want to give a shout out to Hurting Rule, so I think she's great. Obviously Jamus excites, but I feel like Hurting Rule grounds everyone, and I don't think enough people give her credit for that. Yeah.
And I think when they bring in new candidates, people are excited. I think they are very young blood also. The latest, I think Eileen or Eileen. Then previously, before Nicosia, everything happened, people were excited about her too.
I really like Nicosia.
Me too.
Therefore, goated.
I really liked Leon Pereira as well. Also really liked, who was the guy?
Tan Chuan Jin.
I also like Chuan Chuan. I also like them all. But
Fine, so we'll settle for Aura Maxing for Workers' Party.
Okay.
So wait, what are you again?
Aura Maxing.
Relax.
So there are 3 Aura Maxing and 1 goated. It should be goated.
Are you okay?
It should be goated.
Wait, explain.
So 2 plus 2.
Okay, as an honourable mention, we will talk about People's Alliance for Reform because big news just came out in that one of our future presidents just joined them on a walkabout at Yio Chu Kang SMC.
I've never read this news.
Okay, I'll describe him to you and then you have to guess, okay? His body count is 54.
Okay.
They call him Mr. President online.
And
He was, remember when Kiara Kitty did her Christmas stream, he was Santa Claus.
Stephen Lim?
Teo En Ming. Teo En Ming.
Right.
Top sis.
Okay, what the fuck? I'm like, what 54?
Why you don't believe?
Okay, like good for you, brother. Okay, but since we are doing honorable mentions, Dr. Syed Alwi from Red Dot United.
Okay.
I put him as Aura Maxing just because he's an independent researcher studying quantum fields and black holes.
Where? Where's
In Singapore.
Where? Which university?
I don't know. He never say.
You know, anyone can call themselves So that's why I asked you where.
I don't know.
Teo En Ming claims to be a time traveler, so I just want to verify.
You believe that guy?
I just want to verify.
Okay, there's a video where there was one for our Red Dot United, right? I fucking hate the name, by the way, but just because of that guy, I'm going to give that Aura Maxing. And then there was this girl that was giving a speech about Yishun. Then she was just like a robot.
Hi everyone, I'm Sharon Lim. I'm an IT consultant. I grew up in Yishun.
She was speaking slowly
Yeah, but basically she's just like,
about her past.
that's all I saw. Like she didn't even blink. And then it was so refreshing when Dr. Alwi came up.
Morning everyone, I'm Dr. Syed Alwi Ahmad and I'm an independent researcher studying quantum fields and black holes, diving deep into the mysteries of the universe. But no matter how far away into space and time that I venture, I've always stayed rooted in one thing, and that's reality.
So yeah, what does quantum fields and black holes have to do with the world around us right now? What is he going to do for the people?
He can study the different universes.
And then
And then
decide where to correct
okay,
one.
not word for word, right? This is what he said. Like
Okay.
after me studying like galaxies or whatever, and I come back to the real world, this and that, I'm like, you know what? I'm sold.
It's giving Katy Perry.
No.
So we have a black hole researcher, we got a time traveler. Who else?
So we digress.
Who else do you believe?
Okay, so People's Alliance for Reform, they are made out of People's Voice, Reform Party, and Democratic Progressive Party. Other notable people that last time was from here, Lim Tian,
Skibidi. Yeah.
People's Voice. But anyway, my ranking is Skibidi Toilet.
Skibidi
Skibidi
toilet.
toilet.
But now that Time Traveler is in,
No, still Skibidi toilet because of Lim Tian. Some of the things that he says totally disqualify him from getting any vote from me. I remember there was one time where there was this little Indian girl.
Sorry, go.
Yes, you.
TikTok. Well, I guess TikTok. There was one time that I remember this because I was still using Facebook. So maybe this was a year ago. But there was this little Indian girl and she was like on a Majula Singapura poster somewhere. And he was like, why do we have an Indian from India on this poster? And then he started doxing this little girl. She was 10. And this is the thing, right? So he's actually a super intelligent guy. My sister has worked with him. He's a lawyer. So I wonder, like, sometimes when I see him, am I the stupid one?
Found it.
Girl on National Day banner draws vile and hurtful comments from politician Lim Tian. You want to hear what he said?
Oh my god, I never heard of this party, People's Voice, PV. But this one not interesting. Interesting is this guy, Dr. Alwi.
okay, so the ranking for PAR is Skibidi Toilet.
Skibidi
Next.
toilet.
Okay,
Skibidi
our
toilet.
last serious party. Our last party.
Can't say like that.
Sorry, I take it back. The last party we're going to rank for today is PSP, Progress Singapore Party, a relatively young one with a hype beast.
I see the vision for one reason only. They are the only party with merch. They sell
tote bag.
like watches
Watchers.
Oh.
with their whatever animal that is. What is it? Is it a squirrel?
Oh, I think it's an otter.
An otter. They got
yeah.
proper merch. That's like MAGA hat type shit.
PSP to me feels like a PAP, but if they were more social media savvy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But
I vote Aura.
okay, but there's this guy in PSP. We're talking about PSP, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Leong Man Wai.
Yes.
That recently made the news because he was fighting with Min Sham in Parliament. And this guy just cannot. He's like,
It's just because he cannot speak proper English. Is it?
no. So basically, Shamugam asked him, "What do you mean in your Facebook post? What do you mean by muddy waters, or in muddy waters, or something like that?" You know what this guy replied? "Sir, can you see that he's asking me? So he's basically saying that I am not from a good school. What are you talking about? Nobody is saying that. It's like fighting with your wife, eh? Okay, not word for word." But that's what he said. I'm like, huh? Why are you so petty? And then after that, the speaker asked him, right? He was like, "Speaker, if minister didn't ask me, you don't ask me." What the fuck, brother? Okay. Skibidi toilet. That guy's keeping the
No
toilet. By
way.
PSP, I see the vision.
Okay.
I want to hear actually Denise's perspective because I know that you like PSP quite a bit.
I do.
What do you rate them again?
I rate them as aura maxing.
Aura Maxing, okay.
Because I love PlayStation. Their name is cool. As in, everything that they do, right, actually targets the young people quite well. They carry some of the principles of PAP. I think like they're a good balance. But I mean, definitely they're not big enough of a presence, but they've definitely grown really, really quickly in the past.
Yeah, which is what I'm just going to add on because
And they got merch.
the PSP in its debut season like did so much better than so many other parties.
Yeah, I think it was like West Coast Marymount. They did really well.
The West Coast margin was very, very tight. After GE 2020 concluded, PSP's youth wing was so active, you know, and even until today, I just see so much like content from young people when they volunteer with PSP and everything. And the PSP's youth wing was the first to actually reach out to me to say, let's do something together. Let's, get young people.
See, so they're very social media savvy.
Yeah, they really are. And I appreciate that about them. And I think that we have to give them grace also because they're a very young party. They just debuted in 2020. You know, they got the 2 NTMP seats, which also means this is their first time ever in Parliament, right? So they also need to like learn the ropes. So I'm a bit more forgiving on that end.
Yeah, and I think to add on also like just now I also mentioned, I think they shout out some of the points that maybe people don't really like about the ruling party, and then they're pushing for that. So like transparency, for example, like the whole Sika thing.
And
Yeah, they're like kind of.
the merch.
Oh, it's cute.
It's proper merch. Look in the bezel
It
for
looks
country,
like a Seiko 5 then they
for
put.
people. Wow, right.
They're branding quite
they do
strong.
have
lah.
hats.
Yeah, they're branding
see?
quite strong.
And I think like another thing that I like that they brought up was like the redrawing of the boundaries. Every single. Why do we need to every single election be redrawing? But I remember like the first time I voted, I was living at the Interlace. And they put me in the weirdest, I can't remember even where they put me. I think I was like in West Coast and I was living in Interlace. You know what Interlace is?
I
Near
know.
Vivo City. So I don't understand why I was there, but I thought that the fact that he brought it up and he actually went to bed with like Indrani, I think. I think respect to that. Like, if you believe in something, stand up for it. Even if people like you call you annoying, if you really believe in it, speak about it.
Yeah, no, don't listen to me. I'm just
The drawing of the lines, I think, has always been my biggest gripe with PAP, I think. Like when it comes to elections. Yeah. And also because the election period is also so short. So, I mean, people don't really have much time to get to know all the opposition parties also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like for,
I think that's one thing that I find PAP quite disgusting. Because they decide on the election day and then they're like, we're going to go give you guys 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah. They're
So
quite
they'll
sick.
decide when it's like the best time for them. So it doesn't really allow, it kind of hinders the democratic process in a way because we don't have a lot of time. And obviously the parties don't have a lot of time to really force that push.
Yeah. Our final ranking for PSP. Aura maxing.
Aura maxing.
Aura maxing.
Aura Maxing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow,
So
first
they're
time
same
we-
tier as PAP.
So let's screen the rankings again. Everybody look in the middle. Ta-da!
Looks great.
Looks great.
Looks like
Yeah.
we've done a
Fantastic.
good job.
Yes. What's going to happen in the next episode, Denise?
The next episode, we are going to be ranking the most iconic moments or memes from all general elections.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
ready.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.